In this video, I'm building a Tower of Terror which takes inspiration from the iconic Disney World Hollywood Tower ride. But instead of haunted hotel rooms and a faulty elevator, this tower is full of terrors that get progressively more terrifying as you ascend. And maybe there is a faulty elevator, we'll see. First up, we need a base plate to build out the perimeter of the tower. And while the original Hollywood Tower was built in Los Angeles in 1929, Disney World created the Twilight Zone Hollywood Tower of Terror in 1994, which is still operational to this day in Hollywood Studios, or MGM if you were born before 2008. And with these two towers in mind, I won't be building either of them, but instead just basically stealing the name. I'll be using my creative liberty and the parts that I actually have to make my own Hollywood Tower, complete with 5 stories and tons of spooky rooms. So let's proceed, shall we? I placed in some doors, windows, and walls and put this nice little archway out front like you would see on a hotel. This was my first reason for veering away from the original Hollywood Tower design because I had no idea where to put the entrance. First floors generally contain a lobby though, so let's get some flooring down so that way we can start to decorate the interior with some hotel furnishings, like this nice green couch and a matching green chair. This other couch has definitely seen better days, and I added some embellishments like this little spinning globe and a painting of all the places that you could be right now besides an abandoned hotel lobby. Bro's literally been waiting so long he became a skeleton. The service industry has really gone down the drain. I put tons of cobwebs everywhere to show how long it's been since housekeeping came, and I placed this glass case in this gorgeous grandfather clock that isn't scary whatsoever. The check-in counter also has this old lamp, guest list, some night-night juice, and of course the cubbies with all the room keys.
Ow! Jump scare.
Just then, it began to storm outside, and our guest, Bob, began to feel a little uneasy. So he took the liberty of helping himself to a room key and ran to the elevator. First though, I need to build the elevator, so I started out by creating this elevator shaft. Then I placed in a Technic beam and built out the lift portion where you can put your minifigure. I created a winch using some sewing thread and a wheel, and then I figured out a way to connect it to the elevator lift I created and the top. I placed on a gear on the axle to make it a little easier to spin, and now you can raise and lower the lift. You could even add a motor to make this a bit easier, but I think we have a problem. It looks like the elevator got stuck. This is one of my worst nightmares. So let's use this time while Bob is contemplating life to build up the next floor. The next room is the dining room, except there's a hidden secret that's really gonna heat things up. Once I finished building up the walls and arched windows, I added down the tile flooring and placed in this dining table full of food. I also added some luxurious chairs and a baby grand piano that can play itself. Or is it a ghost? This room is super cozy with not only one fireplace, but 2 fireplaces. Oh, there's a third. That's weird. When Bob finally made it out of the elevator, he immediately noticed all the delicious food, but it was uncooked. Ew, raw fish? What a nightmare. So he looked for a way to cook the food, and when he tried opening this door, the handle fell off, and underneath it was an oven dial. He scrambled around and found this cookbook that said to preheat the oven to 450. So he did just that, and after moments, he realized he was in the oven. The room was heating up super fast, so Bob grabbed this fire extinguisher and cracked it open. But inside the glass, he saw a key, and sure enough, it unlocked that mysterious door. Safe from the escape room oven, this next room posed a completely new challenge. Complete darkness. And did you know that when you're in complete darkness, your sense of smell and hearing is heightened to the point that your own heartbeat sounds really loud? And because you can't see, you can even start to hallucinate. Bob finally found a ladder and climbed into the light. Am I dead? Nope. This next room is my take on a classic mad scientist laboratory. I placed in this jail cell into the wall to restrain this absolutely feral zombie test subject, and I added some science equipment in the corner. There's a shelf here with a skull and also a pizza because even mad scientists get hungry, right? And speaking of food, I've added some live animals in these glass cages. But are they test subjects or food for the zombie? Lastly, there's this eerie operating table with that that super bright light that Bob was staring into after coming out of complete darkness. And I know, labs are usually in the basement, which is why this is so creepy, because who would ever think to look for an illegal lab on the 3rd floor? The zombie almost grabbed Bob, so he ran for this totally safe-looking door to relieve himself. Fortunately, it was indeed a bathroom. And what's so scary about a bathroom? Well, after using the toilet, it started to overflow, and there was nowhere for the water to drain. So the room started to flood. Drowning is not fun, and not being able to escape is terrifying. As the water rose though, Bob floated up to the ceiling and took one last breath to push through this tiny exhaust vent into the next room. Who knew a minifigure could fit through a tiny vent? Tight squeezes make me so claustrophobic. And by now, Bob's gone through a creepy abandoned lobby with spiders and skeletons, got stuck in an elevator, was trapped in a burning building, haunted in complete darkness, almost grabbed by a lab zombie, and then was nearly unalived in a plumbing mishap. So this room, with a nice cozy couch and some books, couldn't be more welcome. But there's no rest until you reach the top of the tower, and this room will definitely nudge you forward, or perhaps push you forward, because this is the Compactor room, which features these sliding walls that cave in on unsuspecting guests, making them two-dimensional. Running out of space is already a huge fear for Lego collectors, and Bob was literally running out of space to live. He searched through book after book, looking for a way out, and just when he thought it was all over, he pounded on the bookshelf, and then something terrible happened. He clipped right through! Now, some of you may be aware of the dangers of clipping, but for those who aren't, it's sort of like a glitch, and you end up in a very dangerous place. The back rooms, which is sort of an internet urban legend turned video game about navigating these yellow walled office mazes with really bad lighting and lots of shadowy corners. It's suspenseful. And to build this, I made some yellow walls and put up some maze-like structures. I also created a really cool lighting effect so that when you're in danger, everything goes red. Now the monsters in this game are super weird and wiry, and you can build one using elements from your spare parts bin, like lightsaber hilts and a camera for the head. His arms are as long as his body, so he kind of looks like an Enderman from Minecraft. And then you can use a rope element to tie him all together to make him look even more chaotic. Placing them in the maze together looks pretty terrifying, and only when you find your way out can you portal back to reality. The next terrifying level, the attic, where all your childhood toys and happiness go to die. Well, mostly they just collect dust. And we've got all the stuff, from that exercise bike from last Christmas, an amplifier from that time you tried to learn guitar, old game consoles, and pretty ordinary stuff, right? Pro tip, never put a baby doll in a haunted house. It just never ends well. Alright, well, that could have been a lot worse. Oh no, here comes Jimmy! Hi, I'm Jimmy, and you forgot your hat. Turns out Jimmy was just a groundskeeper at the hotel and has been trying to return Bob's hat back to him this whole time, which explains the feeling of being watched and chased throughout the tower. Oh, and I guess he just took the elevator past the library and back rooms in case you needed an explanation for that. But we still have one more fear to face.
Now the first step to facing your fears is...
Okay, I promise that was the last jump scare. And just as he said, the best way to face your fears is aka we're jumping off the building of the roof. I mean the roof of the building. Do you remember that VR game called The Plank? Well, it's just like that. And the Matrix, because our landing zone is this tiny little trash can. That's the graveyard. There we go. So all Bob has to do to escape this terrifying tower is just jump off a 5-story building. And it so happens that the groundskeeper was digging a diving pool and not the graves of all the guests. So now that we've gone through all 10 different fears, let me know in the comments which scenario you thought was the absolute most terrifying out of all of them. Oh, and make sure to like the video and let me know if you want to see more stuff like this.